Yo, people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for another episode of All You Can Eat Chelsea. A special guest today to replace Eunice, who again is still on the honeymoon and living life and missing games that you really would love to miss in a way, because you know it's not W's, but this one for me at least the spirits are a little bit higher. We were saying that backstage. I'm feeling a little bit better about this one. So don't take your negative energy from the group stage of game one. Bring some good energy into this one for the people watching. Despite where we place ourselves in the group, but let's get into it. Miz, my bro, talk to me. How are you feeling? How are you doing?
Good, man. A bit exhausted. It's been a long day. Obviously, woke up very early in the morning to watch the match, and yeah, man, let's talk about this. Much like you, I'm very satisfied. I feel the way we sort of put ourselves under Potter, but of course, you know, the result puts us in a bit of a predicament, but I'm sure we'll talk about all that.
And our special guest, Neil Robertson, world champion snooker player. Absolute pleasure. Double trouble in the building with the two Aussies. Neil, how are you doing? Absolute pleasure to have you. First time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, mate. Yeah, good. I feel positive after last night's performance. I thought it was, it was much improved, and the players really put a shift in. Just a bit of a shame. The draw, puts us in a dodgy situation where we probably have to win 3 of the last 4, to get through. Just a shame, I guess, that it's going to be over 2 weeks until we see the guys play again. So, Potter can't really sort of, get any momentum going. So he has to, just work with the players who aren't going away on international duty, but at the same time gives him more opportunity to work with those guys as well.
Yeah, it's such a strange feeling because, like you said, there's a no game now until the 1st of October, so literally 2 weeks. And remember Thomas Tuchel's first game we was discussing as well, 0-0 at home to Wolves at Stamford Bridge, literally 24 hours after he was basically hired. But we had the opportunity to go again, play Burnley at home and win that. Azpilicueta getting himself a goal in that game. This one, there is no time to rectify that. Unfortunately, there's no Liverpool around the corner. That game's been postponed. But as we were saying, I do feel a little bit more positive about the situation in comparison to the last game. I think the challenge for Chelsea fans right now is to almost separate the Champions League group situation and where we are placed due to the first game as well, and what we actually saw and Potter and his team. And there was definitely some confusion about how we were gonna, line up and the formation and whatnot. But I think me and Miz somehow managed to call this one, and I'm very happy about this because it's not easy with Potter. He plays a lot of different systems. I done my homework on him, but I've seen he's 3-5-2. He's playing sometimes even 4-4-2, very rarely, but does it 3-4-3, whatever have you will. He's played it, but this one very much felt like a 3-3-3-1. And those wing backs weren't wing backs, as me and Neil was saying backstage. They were literally wingers. Sterling never had a defensive duty to worry about. James was really high up. Mount was a lot deeper in that midfield 3. Centre back split. And I think, Aubameyang, just when I looked at the pass map, just that service, you still need to get that service into him. I think the pass map, unfortunately, in terms of vertical passing, was a little bit disappointing going through Kai, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, overall, the signs were good. People were playing in positions that felt a little bit more natural. It didn't feel like players were really having to do things that they weren't comfortable doing. Miz, we'll start with you. How did you feel just watching the game tactically? Did you enjoy what you were seeing? We saw Sterling on the touchline, Mount deeper, looking a lot better. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, I felt very comfortable, I suppose. Like I said it post-match, it looked pleasing. Tactically, what Thomas Tuchel, I got to get over Thomas Tuchel. It's Graham Potter. Tactically, what Potter was trying to do, it made sense. He tried to sort of mirror what he was doing in Brighton. I think we've talked about that. I've talked about in my video as well, that's predominantly how he's been playing in recent times with Brighton, the 3-3-3-1. And, as you said, players looked comfortable in those positions. Mason Mount was in his natural 8 position. Kai Havertz just behind the striker, more of a attacking midfield role, cam role, you could possibly say. Sterling hugging the touchline, Reece James as well. had a bit of defensive duty, even though he was also touching the touchline on the right side. Overall, I really enjoyed, up until obviously we scored, and even after that, I was still enjoying it. But first half, the first few minutes, it was clear to see what he was trying to do, Potter. And I think us under Thomas Tuchel since last year when Chilwell got injured, and also start of this season, as you've always said, Matisse, it's that U shape. It kept on going from side to side, and back to the other side. Whereas now, in this particular match that we've seen, we saw a little bit more, central progression. So I was happy for the 90 minutes, what I saw under Potter, and gave me confidence that it can only get better. Do you know what I mean? Like, over time, it should only get better and better. But I guess the issue is, the same sort of scenario up front. We had chances to win, and we just couldn't put them away once again. So how much can he get out of this same mob, which Tuchel found it difficult to get out as well? That is the biggest question, I suppose.
I mean, Neil, how did you find it from a tactical perspective? Obviously, it's the first game. It's always going to be really intriguing to see just what Potter's plan is. And I felt like his post-match interview, he was obviously quite calm. He was quite praiseful of the team and the commitment and the application, I guess. And I can't really disagree. As much as it is frustrating to only get the point, and I feel like we should have won that game. Again, Salzburg were there for the taking in a way in terms of the spaces that they do leave, same as Zagreb. But they played well. The majority of them, I could say, had good games.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was certainly a much more positive kind of way of playing. It was funny though, when I saw the team sheet last night on watching on TV, I thought it was like the 4-2-3-1. So I was really happy because Havertz finally got his kind of that free number 10 role in behind a striker. But as it was set up, he actually still got that role anyway. So I thought that was quite fascinating to still be able to give him that, playing three at the back. Yeah, the wing backs weren't really wing backs in Sterling and Reece. They were just like wide, kind of, attacking. Well, they were like wingers, really. We really sort of pinned them in, and they were always out wide. I thought that Sterling and Havertz had some quite nice combination play as well, and then with Cucurella overlapping and Reece on the other side. So I thought it looked really good. It's just it's tough to break it down a team that was, they were sitting really deep, weren't they? Really low block again. So we couldn't really utilize Aubameyang running in behind too much. Although there were a couple of good moments with Jorginho sort of getting his head up and then playing a couple of balls over the top for Aubameyang. So I thought overall it looked really, really good. Just the only thing is that, we're still sort of vulnerable to that sort of like that sucker punch, really, where we lose the ball in midfield and then we're just too slow running back with the players we have in midfield with Jorginho. He just doesn't have the pace to get back, and it seemed like that was kind of like their only really chance, and they scored from it. But from an attacking point of view, I thought it was good. You have to credit Salzburg as well. Like, they got a lot of blocks in. Like, I remember Sterling one. There was a goal bound shot with Sterling that was like a block. I think Havertz as well had a header that looked like it was going into the corner that was blocked. So you have to give them credit for defending well. Yeah, Ziyech as well towards the end there. Under a lot of pressure from his last performance, he had a very mixed. It seemed like every 50% of the time he was doing good things, and the other 50% of the time he was losing the ball or infuriating fans. So he's probably got a fair bit to do to earn the trust back, I think, from the fans. And he almost scored the winner at the end, where the keeper's come out, he's completely spread, and then just didn't dink it over him enough. And Broja obviously had that great chance with the volley as well, where I know he just tried to maybe hit it too hard. I don't think he needed to hit it that hard, but there are a lot of positives because I thought all the substitutions that came on all performed well as well. Broja, I thought, gave us a huge amount of energy. He was fantastic. Ruben was good, and Pulisic, I thought, did the best he could with the minutes he was given. So I think there's a lot of positives going forward, and so Potter, I think, will be pleased for the most part because, as he said in his post-match interview, all the guys gave everything. So I don't think you can really criticize any individual performances of the players' effort. Just some players, their weaknesses are there to be exposed at times, and that's not their fault. I think Azpilicueta the selection was based on loyalty and know-how in the competition, the captain. But I think in the future weeks under Potter, I think we'll see a different lineup.
Yeah, I think Aspie's. I mean, Miz, you probably, I don't know if you agree with me, but I think Aspie's time as a player playing regularly is surely over. And I think we saw that last season. And one thing I didn't want to see for Aspie is him going outside with this Ivanovic type drop off, which really could end up happening if he plays too many games, because you know he kind of swivels his head for the goal, and the goal is multiple players' fault. Really, it's a collective. I think, you know, looking at Kepa, I wouldn't really look at him too much. It was close proximity. It's more Silva diving in and not really fully clearing it, which is very rare that you see him ever make an error. But Aspie swiveling his head, he saw the runner, looked again, but he never really ever blocked off that pass, and he ends up getting undone. Obviously, this is what happens again, I guess, when Cucurella is up there trying to counter press and win the ball back. It just exposes the whole back line. But do you see Fofana stepping into that role after what we saw with the centre-back splitting? Who do you think would be best for that role? Because Aspie's basically a fullback. Could it even be Reece dropped in there? Oh, you're muted, bro. Oh, there you are.
Sorry about that. Yeah, in my preview, I thought maybe Reece James might be RCB, thinking how wide those CBs generally play under Brighton. And it's very hard to predict, you know, what the lineup could have been and how the formation, because obviously, you know, this is Potter's first game, but, you know, I pretty much went, and I think you as well, Matisse, pretty much went with the blueprint that he used for Brighton. So thinking like that, I thought, maybe I definitely didn't think Azpilicueta would be a RCB. That's what it threw me off when I saw the lineup. Is it really a back three? What's going on here? It was a bit weird. So yeah, moving forward, you know, you could potentially have Reece James there, or definitely Fofana. I would actually think, for the time being, because we don't have similar quality like Sterling that we have on the left side, we don't have someone on the right side. So it might still be Reece James playing as a, you know, right-sided winger, and then we could possibly see Fofana moving into that RCB position. But going back to the Azpilicueta situation, a lot of the there was quite a few in the fan base actually were a bit disgruntled about why Azpi started. I think at the end of the day, he's the club captain, and this is the first match under Graham Potter. And what do you do when you come to a new club? You know, you try and get the captain's buy-in first. You gotta get the captain on your side first. As much as whether the captain is good enough or not, that's a different story. That's we all know Azpilicueta right now. His days, you know, those classic days of Azpi is now finished. But he had to start him to get his buy-in, and from there you probably expect, okay, once you get the captain's buy-in, the captain will then help to get the buy-in for the rest of the other members. And this is probably why Graham Potter started Azpilicueta. I hope soon Graham Potter realizes that, look, Azpi is probably not going to give you that impetus that you desire, because you saw Cucurella bomb up. So similarly, I would expect the right-sided player whenever there's an opportunity to bomb up as well. So you don't want to be, you know, handicapped. He wasn't handicapped at Brighton. Like, as much as we can say Brighton's quality maybe not as great as us, some would probably argue maybe right now in form they're much better. But Brighton were free-flowing. Like, Dunk literally played as a sweeper defender, and he allowed for those the RCB and the LCB to really bomb up whenever they had the opportunity. So look, down the track, I hope Graham Potter, for his own sake, you don't want to go into a match where, Matisse, all of this, like that one mistake, as Neil was saying as well, that one mistake, it seems to be too often that one mistake always punishes us. The reason being is we still have those flaws in individuals. That particular goal, you're right. Like, of course, what Thiago Silva did kind of killed us off, but it all materialized from losing the ball in midfield.
Yeah.
From there, if you notice, there were a couple of brothers that were just jogging. Like Ruben Loftus-Cheek was jogging. Mason Mount was tugging with another Salzburg player, and he was too busy fighting with him when both of those players should have been focused to retreat and counter press and win the ball back, but they didn't. They were too focused on, I don't know what they were focused on, and then it allowed that player to expose Jorginho. But then the ball went to the side of Thiago Silva, and that's where the structure really fell apart once Thiago Silva dived in, and the Salzburg player was easily evaded that situation. And from there, once again, if Aspi, if I don't know whether Fofana could have done a better job. Fofana probably still needs to adapt as well. But maybe Fofana would have been a bit more aware of the situation. Or maybe he would be a bit more
sharp.
Agile. Sharp to close that shot down. So, yeah, man. I hope Potter soon realizes that it's great to get the buy-in of certain individuals and leaders of the football club, but at the same time, I think you need to do the right thing for yourself, because it can go pear-shaped too quick at Chelsea Football Club, and you need to be very, very careful of who you select to play for.
Yeah, I think it's not the first time this season we've seen quick starts, really good starts, first 20, 25 minutes, Southampton, Zagreb, but then failing to punish the opposition with finishing. And then we find ourselves in a position now where we should be 1 or 2 goals up, but instead we're, jousting back and forth. And then we find ourselves, obviously, sucker punch, like Neil said, where any game that a team plays against us, they're in the game till the 90th, and there's never a situation where the game's over because we just don't score enough goals to actually end that game. This is the pass map actually at half time, and it literally was exactly how we're describing it. Mason and James had a really good chemistry down that right hand side. You could see that three-man midfield kind of taking shape there. Kai and Aubameyang literally almost operating in the same zone, but Kai you'd expect to be a bit deeper, and maybe Kai just being a little bit deeper, and then we might hopefully see some of those passes connecting a little bit more. That's a little gap there, and Kai, the one thing I will say in terms of performances I wasn't happy with was Kai. Now he's going to need time. Obviously, it's a new system and he's playing a new position, but for me, he had a free role, and no shots, no dribbles completed, no key passes in the first half from him. I was disappointed because I think his ceiling is very high, but people are looking at him thinking, what ceiling are you talking about? Your ceiling in your bedroom, like, mate? Well, I'm not seeing this. And I need Kai to start really having those 10 out of 10 games. Not every week, of course, but it's been a while since Kai's had a masterclass when you can say he really announced himself and he really took a game by the scruff of the neck and said, this is my game and I'm going to have an unbelievable performance in every aspect. He seems to always either be just decent at best.
Do you know what, Matisse? I feel like it's high time, man. Like, we can't be babysitting these players anymore, man. Like, we need to start demanding better. This is Chelsea Football Club, man. We're in the brinks of possibly getting knocked out of Champions League. Like, that's not good enough. Do you know what I mean? Regardless of the situation, regardless of what has happened, Chelsea Football Club, there's standards to be maintained. Like, this is Kai Havertz's 3rd season. And I feel like, yes, this is a new manager, but my man, you got yourself a chance to play the role that we all believe that's where you're most comfortable in. You should have come out of the blocks firing, hungry. The amount of time I've seen Kai Havertz so, I don't know, like lethargic with the ball. He's too open. It's too easy to take the ball off him sometimes. His passes are too, like, it seems like he's not focused. The amount of missed time passes, he's got to give a lot more respect to the ball, man. You've got to pay a lot more respect. Look at the way, and this is where, certain individuals, like, I can't think of a particular player right now, but, maybe Sterling at times, or maybe even Kovacic, like, they don't, especially Kovacic, like, they don't want to give away the ball. Like, they're secure with the ball. I need Kai Havertz to be a lot more secure, man.
Yeah.
Don't get dispossessed so easily. Don't just close your eyes and just pass anywhere. Be focused in the game. Be hungry. And it's not going to cut it. The 23, I'm 23, I'm still young. No. Years go by before you know you're 25, you're 26, and all people think about with Kai Havertz will be the Champions League winner. You've got to be more than that. You've got to be more than that.
I said it on the byline. I want to get Neil's thoughts on this as well, because Alex was obviously saying, listen, when we talk about Mason Mount being in that Kai role or being where he was under Tuchel, yes, it's not his natural position. And where we saw Mason in this past map was a little bit more of where I would like to see him long term. But they're making that case that, you know, even Mason, when he's out of position, he's providing the things that Kai is meant to be providing in terms of attributes more often than Kai is. And when we talk about time, you know, Mason has adapted to 3 different managers as well. Obviously, Lampard being a little bit easier because he was at Derby, but under Tuchel, immediately, you know, trying to make that impression. Potter, immediately, first game, a lot better from him in this role. You know, they're not sitting at the same table at the moment in terms of what they've done in their time here. And I think the 2 players, I always say with Mason, I would like the composure, sometimes calm it down in the final third. Don't smash that shot and get it blocked. Don't smash that crossing and get it blocked. And almost Kai needs a bit more of what Mason has, which is just snappier, you know, move like as if, you know, every single touch is your last one, like you could be subbed at any moment. Because you could be at this point. And Broja, as you mentioned, Neil, we'll come to in a minute. He impressed again when he comes on. He makes a difference. Yeah, he puts the shot over the bar, but that's you know, back-to-back games where he's come on now this season and he's looked pretty sharp. And he's another player where I'm not surprised that Aubameyang started over him, because again, you have to kind of maybe go with the more experienced striker, your number 9, give him that faith that you're going to, you know, start him and get him on your side. Again, he's a big personality, but Broja looked more impactful again than anything I really saw from Kai. I thought Kai had a nice start to the game, maybe 10-15 minutes, but that is not enough. You know, we're looking for, you're playing in the Kevin De Bruyne position, the Neymar position, the Mata position, even the Oscar position. You know, we need something more, 100%. So, I mean, what did you make of? I mean, anything there that we just said that you want to take apart?
Yeah, looking at the map, I think Kai should have just come deeper more often, it looked like. And then he would have had a bit more space to you know, to turn and see what's in front of him. I can't really sort of be too critical of him in this formation until maybe we see a few more games under Potter. But I think he's been asked to play constantly under Tuchel and even under Lampard, constantly asked to play in nearly like a different position every single match. You know, whether he play like left inside forward, right inside forward, players like the striker, the false 9, you know, he seems to be playing a different role every week. So hopefully, I just want to, I'll be a bit more. I mean, I love him, right, as a player, but I'll be more critical of him if it's still like this in a few more matches under Potter. Because like I say, the first sort of like 15 minutes, I thought it was looking really good. And then, yeah, I don't know, for some reason, he just sort of drifted away a little bit from the match. And yeah, I'd like to see him show a little bit more aggression, even just take a few shots from outside the box as well, because he's certainly capable of troubling the keeper. I think sometimes he just plays a little bit too, I wouldn't say lazy, but just safe. Like too safe. Yeah, too safe. You know, he just doesn't take enough risks. And especially when you're playing with Aubameyang as well, you know, he can look to sort of like lift those balls over the top for him. So yeah, I'd just like to see a little bit more from him. But like I say, I can't be too critical until I see him play in this role for a few more matches, because I'm sure that Potter will be looking at stuff like this and will be identifying it and certainly try to get the best out of Kai as well. Because I think that Potter will, one of his players in the team that he'll really look at improving will definitely be Kai. Because I think if he can take Kai to that level that we hope that he can be at, it'll completely transform him as a player and us as a team as well. So it'd be interesting to see, you know, how Graham does that. Yeah,
Graham Potter's known for improving players. I'm praying, because I love Kai, but I'm praying to God that Potter's the guy that's going to take him to that next level, because And he also has to take himself to that next level. I remember when Thierry Henry, he said, why is everybody saying free Pulisic? He needs to free himself. I think some of these players have really got to take it as well as their responsibility to develop themselves as well and really kick on, because, you know, like Miz says, time flies. And next thing you know, you're going to be not a young player anymore. You're not going to be going for Young Player of the Year awards or any of that. You're not going to be in that category. You're going to be in the big boys category, and you know, the years will go by quick. And the reason why I think this is important to say is that our owner is not playing about. Todd Boehly will replace you. He's already shown that he likes Rafael Leao. You know, we're linked with Casado.
Played great, by the way, last night.
Brighton, yeah, like, you know, I feel like the Chelsea of old, some of these players would never have survived. Never have survived with Chelsea, Roman's empire at the beginning. And that's kind of what Todd Boehly's given me a little bit of vibes of Roman at the beginning, where that hunger for the elite trophies, that desire that maybe Roman lost towards the end, or we didn't have the infrastructure in place because we didn't get the director of football. We didn't get all of the components in the pyramid to really continue to keep up with a City and a Liverpool, and we kind of just were just knee-jerk reactions and just trying to chase things but never actually planning for it. Todd Boehly is coming in here. He's having talks with Campos. He's having talks with, you know, the team, the opposition that we're playing against, their own director of football on the night that we play him. But, you know, he's bringing in a whole new manager and a whole new recruitment head of recruitment. He is going crazy. He's going mad. And we saw it with a record Premier League spend. So these players won't get away with underperforming for much longer before he replaces them. He really doesn't look like as if he has the patience for it.
Do you know what? Like, and it's not just relevant to Kai Havertz. This is relevant to quite a few players in our squad. I look at it from a real life point of view. Like, I'm thinking from my career's perspective, you know, being in finance. There were times where, you know, I've had great managers and people would be like, oh, you know, my colleagues, you know, what can this manager do for us? What can this manager? We always looked at what can we do for ourselves first? How can we develop into the kind of the employee that we want to be? And then we see what the managers can do for us. Like, you know, you maybe stay back, do that extra bit of, you know, different programming skills, or come in a bit early to learn a few different other softwares. This can be applied everywhere. It comes down to, you can't just rely on a manager and hope that I'm just going to close my eyes and I'm just going to pray that this manager just develops me. It doesn't work like that. You've got to have that hunger and that desire and that burning sensation inside you first. Do you think players like Cristiano Ronaldo just became Cristiano Ronaldo because their managers made them that? Do you think Lionel Messi became Lionel Messi because of the managers that he's played under? No. And I'm not expecting our players to be of that level. But what I'm trying to say, the underlining message is, you've got to have that desire inside of you first. And I question some of these players and what burns. And this is where I feel like I hope Graham Potter, with the educational background that he has, the emotional intelligence and all the other things that he has from a human level, I suppose, can really sit down with some of these players and go, let's say, for example, Kai or Pulisic, what ticks you? What drives you to wake up in the morning and be successful in life? Because I need to know, because only then I can start motivating you. Because it's not good enough if they just say, oh, I just want to be the greatest footballer of, you know, in the... No, what drives you, mate? What drives you? What drives you?
Hang the donut in front of the treadmill type moment.
Yeah, like Christian Pulisic may say, I want to perform really well for, you know, US national team. I want to do well for them. Okay, then what are you going to do? How can you ensure that you, in order to play for your team at the highest level, what do you have to do for Chelsea Football Club? You got to be making sure you play week in, week out. How do you play week in, week out? You got to impress. Got to impress. I don't think some of these players understand this, Matisse. They're too immature at times. They don't understand this.
The magnitude of the club that they're playing for, you know, it's very important that we don't suffer too much as a club, and we can't drop out of the top four for some of the development of these players. That is something that we can't afford to do, I don't think. So we need to yes, we have to have patience with them because obviously Bowie's here for the long term and he's trying to build a team. And I think a lot of them have the opportunity to be part of that because of their ages, if they actually apply themselves and actually show progression. But my God, they can't go 4 or 5 years here without us saying that they've had a great season in any of them. That can't happen.
This is Pulisic's 4th season, Matisse. This is his 4th season.
It's entering.
And
it's
the only highlight
entering.
we can.
It's going to enter Martial territory, isn't it? And Rashford territory with some of these players if they don't start putting in the performances. The subs for me before we move on to another topic. The subs for me were, I mean, they were necessary. I think Ziyech was always going to come on for Aspi and go to that winger spot and put James back into the back three. I think it would have been nice, but it was never going to happen. But I would love to have seen Chukwuemeka. I really just want. He's like an unknown quantity. We spent 20 million on this guy. Nobody knows really what to expect from him. But I'm excited to see impact and see what he can do. But it was never going to happen. Well. Yeah. Zachariah as well. So it would have been nice to see some of these guys. But listen, I'm not going to get onto Potter for that. It's a first game. He obviously needed to win, and maybe he felt like go with Gallagher a bit more experience, but. I didn't really feel like against a low block he was gonna help us too much in that scenario, in that part of the game. I don't feel like it's his specialty. I think he's going to need quite a bit of coaching on that side in terms of unlocking the door if it's possible. I mean, Ziyech, one of your favorite guys. I mean, what did you make of his cameo? I mean, he had a lot of chances, man, to be the hero. Couldn't quite get it done.
It was painful, man. Like, I love this guy. You know it very well. Like I've got this sort of emotional attachment, and not just because he's a Chelsea player, way back from Ajax as well. But that was painful, and I think it's come to a situation where he has to, unless something drastically changes his form, his demeanor, his attitude. You can see the body language as well. It's like it kind of feels like he's forced, or he doesn't really want to be around. He feels a bit caged, like he's not comfortable. You can tell he is not comfortable. Every touch is so bad. Crosses are poor. Shots with his left foot that you think he should be able to connect flush and go into the back of the net is not happening. Obviously lacking a lot of confidence, but at the same time, I feel like he wants a change of environment, and maybe right now it's just probably best for both the club and himself. Come January, if this continues, he has to be one of the first 31st of December, after midnight, celebrate. As soon as it's 1st of January, grab his collar and drag him out the door. Like, seriously. Like, I'm sorry, man. I love this guy, but for his own benefit, for the benefit of the football club, Graham Potter is looking for impact off the bench. 1-1, he's looking for impact. And I'm not just talking about yesterday's game. I'm talking about under Thomas Tuchel as well. I'm talking about in the future when Graham Potter finds himself in this situation again where it's a deadlock. You need impact from the bench. And let's say Hakim Ziyech again comes on. You got to make an impact, brother. You've got to be that difference maker. And right now, your performances are actually probably becoming a bit of a detrimental. It's becoming a downer. It's a confidence downer. How many times Reece James had the ball on that RCB position, he looked up and he's like, oh my God, my only option is Ziyech. And he was like hesitant to pass to him. And then he ended up passing anyway, but he was so hesitant. He shouldn't be hesitant. He should be like, yep, that's my man. I'm going to fly the ball to him and let him take over. But you can see, like, even Reece James, his game was getting compromised. Like, he wasn't completely in tune with what Ziyech was doing. So, look, man, I don't know. Once again, if Potter can do madness, I highly doubt he's going to be able to do madness on every single player out there. There's players that will have to go, and he probably is one of the biggest candidates to go.
Yeah, it's just frustrating when I see them pass it out of play, and the corner was just very short, and it just didn't feel like as if you was getting a player that again was trying to really prove a point. It just felt like he was kind of out there and we'll see what happens kind of thing. But yeah, we desperately needed to win that. We definitely won't overanalyze it too much or anymore, just because obviously it's Potter's first game, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens after the international break, because who he even gets to work with as well, you know, because most of them with the squad that we have, they tend to fly off anyway. So it'll be a weird couple of weeks at Cobham anyway, but we'll have to see. I wanted to get your take on this, Neil, as well to begin with, is the North versus South. Absolute hysteria on social media. So first of all, they said they don't like it. And I'm saying, when I say they, I say the mainstream English media. They don't like the idea from Todd Boehly. I thought the interview, first of all, was really good. We got clarity on Thomas Tuchel.
It's brilliant. Yeah,
really, really good interview.
Anyone who's not seen that, I'd highly recommend they actually watch that whole interview with Todd. Yeah, because it's a good sort of 30-odd minutes, isn't it? And I was just practicing yesterday when I was listening to it. And even when he stopped talking about Chelsea, I thought it was really fascinating just hearing him talk about his other businesses as well for like the last sort of 12 or 13 minutes, just to give, again, a different insight into him, you know, how he works and all that. And I thought it was fascinating listening to him. And I wasn't happy that Tuchel got sacked. I was really annoyed. Yeah. But at least the fan base got a much more better understanding in the decision-making process that the owners made under Tuchel. So I'm sort of like fine with their decision. I respect their decision. I don't have to like it, but I kind of respect it and understand that, okay, that's where they want to go. So it's fine. And that was brilliant. Yeah.
I think, you know, same as me, you know, I was never going to be happy that Tuchel was sacked, especially so soon after the window closed, not really getting to see him use Aubameyang or Zakaria. But then, you know, it comes out that maybe not all of those signings were specifically for him, and they were more club signings as well for the future. And Aubameyang was probably one of the few that was clearly a Tuchel signing because, you know, 33, you know, not a long-term investment, no resale value, all these things. But when you hear them explain the decision and, you know, not just what you're getting in terms of quality of manager, but also working relationship, are they collaborating in the way that they need to move forward in unison in one direction? And if that's a no, then that's understandable that working relationship is really not going to last. So you may as well cut it as soon as possible. And I'm actually kind of almost relieved as well that it didn't become toxic with Tuchel and it didn't get to the point where he just, the team kept falling and it could have improved, but it could have also just kept getting worse. And then you find yourself with a manager whose reputation is now being damaged in broad daylight. And I have to speak on too many rival shows to want to see that happen. So I think with Todd, he was really transparent. And I think we have to be appreciative. I felt walking away from those quotes very appreciative of that he's our owner. You know, he comes in, record Premier League spend. Of course, that was maybe always going to be similar or you know, a fair chance of happening because of the money that they asked to slump up by the Rain Group for investment, or Roman asked, or whoever asked for that initial extra cash to be slumped up for improving the squad and whatnot. But very transparent, you know, we haven't had an owner who's been, you know, speaking publicly or even outside the ground to take pictures with the fans on the first few days with those odd socks, and, you know, who clearly has a vision and clearly has ambition and wants to restructure the club and bring in all these names in terms of recruitment. The data, he says, is shockingly underwhelming in terms of we don't have as much data as we should.
That was interesting what he was talking about.
But I guess that explains it, right? With the recruitment over the years, it makes sense that maybe the data isn't up to scratch and it's not being shared with Cobham as well. We have such great recruitment in the academy, and yet in the first team level, it doesn't seem to stack up.
Yeah.
So,
and we've got away with quite a few bad signings like that. We've somehow been able to sell for pretty much what we bought them for. You know, you only have to look at people like the Murata and things like that. And, you know, what's really interesting. Have you seen the movie Moneyball? Have you seen the movie Moneyball? I think it's called, with Brad Pitt.
Yeah,
I have.
Really good movie.
Yeah, it's all about like recruiting players and stuff based on data a lot, and I think that's what Todd is going on about, because obviously he part owner of like the Dodgers, which is big on that, right? It's all about the data. And I think that's where our recruitment is going to go, certainly more in that direction, which will be good, because you've seen the signings that we've made so far this summer, and to me they all kind of make sense. You know, there's nothing like a drink water in there, or, you know, a player that just sort of like, well, where did that come from? I think they're all good, and the decisions going forward, I think, in terms of the recruitment is going to be much better. But you could see Tuchel in that interview he did maybe 5 or 6 days ago, where the person interviewing him was saying, what's the relationship like with the owner? And Tuchel almost like started laughing, going, you know, a lot of contact, a lot of communication. You could just tell he just doesn't want to do, he just wants to, he wanted to, I just want to coach the team, do the tactics, coach the team. You guys go off and make the signings. So yeah, you could kind of see it bubbling underneath him already, Tuchel, and you can only imagine what that would have been like sort of throughout the season and stuff. So probably the best for both parties.
I think Moneyball, I think just quickly on that was based on a real story as well. I think that's right.
It's what actually happened, and it completely transformed the way that football teams, certainly in America, sporting teams in America went about their recruitment in terms of drafting people from like college, making trades, keeping players, all this sort of stuff. It just completely revolutionized the way that recruiting was done. And it was brilliant movie. Really, really good.
I mean, just quickly, sorry, Matthias, I was just going to add on that data because I was talking to someone sort of back and forth on this. I mean, I'm baffled as well that Taboli's come in and he's pretty much said it in the interview that there's literally no data from academy to the first team to even the women's team, not enough data circulating around to know who are the up and coming superstars, who's good in XYZ. I think the other thing that we need to realize as well, and I'm glad obviously now we're looking at DOF and all that, is we've got to be careful. Data is also verified with the eye test as well. Like data being gathered from, let's say, from the Belgian league or from the Portuguese league, you know, someone could, from a data standpoint, could look really good on tackles made or interception, XYZ. But that may not necessarily translate into a different league because of the differences of the quality in the league. So I hope that it's not all just data, that there is proper still scouting going on and they back up the data with eye test as well. I think it's very, very important, or else we'll get caught out again.
Yeah, that's true. But we've also replaced the guy who's our scout for a long time, right?
Scott McLaughlin.
That's right. He's gone. And I think Alex was quite happy that he's
everybody was on Twitter.
Sort of nothing. Yeah. So yeah, I think it'll certainly be a big combination of like the data, right, to sort of like flag certain players. Hey, we better go have a look at him. They'll definitely do their due diligence on that part. I don't think Todd will kind of go, oh, wow, this guy looks great on paper, let's just sign him. I think they'll definitely do a combination of both for sure.
We can see that with the long-term contracts that have been offered out as well. You know, there's a big emphasis on youth, and we know that he tried to keep Billy Gilmore. He was very insistent on Hudson-Odoi not going on a
poor Billy.
Billy Gilmore, I swear, the irony of the whole situation is just too much for me, where I saw the quotes. Bowie was like to Gilmore, apparently, you know, I really think you should stay. Things could change. And Billy's like, what's going to change? He's not going to play me. He's like, things could change. Things are happening. Things are happening. So you're starting to sound like that guy on Twitch. I'm just going to go now. Okay, you're a bit weird. Potter's at Brighton. They play good football. I want to start games. I'm going to leave. And Bowie's like, and then well, not even a couple weeks. It's literally a couple days later, as the window closes, in comes Potter, out goes Tuchel, and he's at Brighton now, and we don't even know who his coach is. Maybe Adam Lallana at the moment. So, yeah, it's just insane. And speaking of long-term contracts, I was looking at that counter-attack that in the 87th minute, and Broja, you know, unbelievable burst of pace from him, isn't it? Through the center of the pitch. Incredible.
Wow, power.
Deserved an assist. Once again, Hakim Ziyech should have finished.
But great from Broja, really good from Broja,
top notch.
You know, I don't know whether him and Aubameyang can. I know it's a bit of a side tangent. We'll get back to Bowie, but I don't know whether him and Aubameyang can play together. But yeah, as we were saying, I think Broja, man, he really does just bring something.
Looks quite comfortable. He doesn't seem too
phased by any system or anything.
Playing central either. Yeah, he does come out wide. You know, I mean, he's not the type of the winger to do a few tricks or whatever, but he's like got that power and burst of speed where he can take people on. So maybe in like a slightly different formation or something, maybe we're playing games a bit more on the counter or something. You know, you can play with Aubameyang and Broja sort of playing up front on the counter. I don't know, but I was really happy to see the way he played last night because. I think that we've all kind of been waiting to see what he's all about. And I was really happy for him to get the long-term contract. And I think that's going back again to what they do in American sports. They get people on these long-term contracts. They protect their investment. Like, they don't want people just running down the contracts and just like leaving. Because, in American sports, you can't just leave, at the end of a contract, unless it's a very specific situation. They do like the trades and stuff like that. Whereas in football, like Mbappe could have just left PSG for nothing, couldn't he? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's like disastrous when they paid 200 million euros for him or whatever it was. So, again, another step forward in terms of what the club are doing, where we're not going to have players, running down the contracts.
Yeah,
I could possibly see just on that combination of Aubameyang and Broja obviously up front. And this may not be ideal, but maybe Aubameyang at times could play that Havertz just behind Broja. That could potentially be something. I don't know. Once again, it's not ideal, but I think that's probably how you could see them coexist.
I think as well, with Aubameyang, it wouldn't be playing to his strengths because he obviously needs the ball played in behind. He wants to be on the shoulder. He wants to be the guy on the end of things. And if we turn him into this second striker, I feel like he would be a little bit out of position. He'd have to become a little bit of a creator, which he's not. Yeah. And this is kind of why I did have a preference to Zaha, is that he's a bit more flexible in terms of the positions he can play. You can play him out wide. You can ask him to play up front. You can ask him to play just behind. He's a good dribbler, good close control, these things. Whereas Aubameyang, for me, if you're not going to use him to what he's there for and what he's done over the last 10 years, which is be that last guy on the shoulder and score those goals, then you're not going to get the best out of him, and he then will probably become frustrated as well. Loftus-Cheek came on in that position. Maybe we might see more of him in the 10. But yeah, we do lack many 10 options, to be honest, like true 10s. But back onto that North versus South thing, because it was suggested, and then
yes, that's right. Yeah,
it was suggested by Todd, and as like I guess an all-star.
Yeah, no one's allowed to have fresh ideas. My God, the reaction to it was unreal.
God, no. Imagine an all-star North versus South. You could have for the all-stars, and then you could have rising stars, maybe under 23 players, and you could have the best under 23 players as well. That would be an interesting idea. Two games at the start of the season instead of the Community Shield to raise money for the football pyramid. And they baited Klopp in. Klopp's always the first one they bait in. It's very predictable. They give him the question, no context, and he reacts, bites on it, and blows everything up.
I thought that was ordinary by him. It was just lack of respect and just.
It was very,
I love
throwing
Klopp,
stones in glass houses.
Like, the way he just sort of, reacted to it, without sort of hearing the context in behind it and what it would actually do. The whole point is to kind of, raise money, charities and all. That's what they do in basketball in America now. It's all about sort of, the occasion, right? It's not about who's better, North or South, or East versus West, like in the States.
But also as well, I think it was. I agree with you. It's the way he said it. It's kind of like, he started already. American, the perception of Americans is that they're just going to come and change and ruin the sport. First of all, it was a good idea. I thought it was an idea that you can definitely build off of or discuss and think about, because it would raise a lot of money for the football pyramid if that's what it's truly intended to do. And it's not like as if we don't have the Community Shield, some dead rubbers here or there. It's not,
exactly.
It's not a tournament. It's not a league.
Community Shield is pointless. It's basically Man City versus the FA Cup winner.
Exactly. Yeah. And if it's Man City that wins the FA Cup, then it's Liverpool, isn't it?
So.
But also on top of that, it's not like as if the Klopp's chairman isn't Henry, who literally tried to get involved in the Super League. So it's like throwing stones in a glass house where you don't even realize what's around you. You're criticizing or insinuating that our owner is about to start being that guy, but you've literally got that guy above you. And FIFA and UEFA and non-American, entities in this sport are just as accountable for things going wrong in this sport and games being overplayed and not thinking about players' welfare and only thinking about the money as anyone. So it's to say, as Gary Neville tried to put it on Twitter, to say it's an American thing is for me a little bit foolish, because it's just, you're just trying to scapegoat completely instead of actually looking at the real issue, and actually trying to either collaborate and come to a middle ground or fix the issue. And it's something that doesn't just exist in terms of when Americans speak. It's literally everyone. I mean, I think the FA have literally just said that they're going to do more replays in the FA Cup. They're going to add more games there. I don't know. It's a bit insane. But what do you guys make of it? North versus South. Would you be down for that? We didn't even make the poster actually when I was saying that.
I've done I did my teams yesterday, and the funny thing is all the criticism that Todd got. Talk Sport over here were like Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent on their show. They were actually came up with their own teams of who they would pick for North versus South. So it's like the media were against it instantly, but once everyone starts thinking about it, it's like, yeah, well, actually, what would my team be in the North, and what would my team be for the South? You know, you start getting behind it. Rio Ferdinand is right behind it as well. Like on BT Sport, they did a lot. They actually treated Todd with a lot of respect. I thought they actually talked about it. They went through in what Todd actually said and what it would do for the football pyramid, and they really respected what Todd was saying, and had a deep dive into it. But yeah, the teams that I go through, it seems like the North is always going to give the South a bit of a bashing. Front three of like Haaland, Salah, and Foden, or St. Maximin, and you got De Bruyne and stuff in midfield. It's like it's a pretty tough team to start.
We cannot compete, literally. I mean, Miz, what did you make of it? I mean, as much as people wanted to lambaste the idea, they didn't exactly come up with their own solution or alternative to helping grassroots football.
No, man, I loved it. As soon as I heard it, I said it in my video that I can't wait to do the watch-along for that. I think that watch-along would be flying. That would be an amazing game to cover. And also, we need to understand why he suggested it wasn't just like a game just for the sake of playing. Like he suggested it for charity and to be able to gather money for the footballing pyramid and trickle down the money to the grassroots. A fantastic initiative. Much like as Neil would understand, like we have State of Origin here, which is rugby league style of the
New South Wales versus Queensland. It's huge.
Exactly, it's huge. And then you have the rugby league, the normal league, different clubs, but you have 3 games where you've got the best of Queensland players versus the best of New South Wales players coming and clashing. And it's always an amazing spectacle to see high caliber players coming in, playing together. Obviously, State of Origin is like a serious competition every year. But this, this would be a great initiative for charity and making money, and from a fan's perspective as well, to be able to see, as Neil was saying, that team, that North team, Salah, Haaland, St. Maximin, KDB, all of them playing in the one team. Like, come on, who doesn't want to see that? That's amazing. So even though South would probably take a pasting, but it still would be an amazing show. So I don't know. I found that really mad, the way Gary Neville reacted. It was
over the top.
It's bitterness towards his own owners, isn't it?
But the same people reacting like this would be the same people to cover this if the game was to take place. If an all-star pre-season game was taking place instead of the Charity Shield, they would all be covering it. They would all be reporting on it, and they would actually probably learn to love it. People are afraid of change, and I get it. It's the beautiful game. We don't want to, and I don't agree with every single thing they try and change. Like, the Super League, that was a disgusting idea. But that was because it was a closed competition and there was no actual, it was almost overdoing it as well. I don't like when football tries to, put quantity on the elite sports like World Cups and trying to make it every 2 years, or have us play Barcelona every 3 weeks. I don't want to see that. I want to see us play Salzburg. They deserve to be here. Clearly, we drop points. I want to see us play Zagreb. They deserve to be here. Clearly, they beat us. Make football an open competition. That's how it needs to be kept. But when someone suggests a one-off all-star game where the players, it would be interesting to see, De Bruyne play with Trent, one game and see St. Maximum and maybe even do it in a way where it actually incorporates everyone, where you get maybe 2 players from from each league or whatever in the North and whatever, you know, the player of the year and the young player of the year from each league in the North or you know, whatever, however they get it done. But I just think to shoot it down so aggressively, it's very defensive in a defensive manner. I just felt was just a bit strange. I think if Arsene Wenger had suggested it in the, you know, beIN Sports studio, I don't think anybody would have batted an eyelid. You know, he suggested World Cups every 2 years. No outrage World about Cups it. So I think it's who says it more so than what was actually said. You can give it a different name, maybe, so it's not so Americanized. Don't call it All-Star Game or call it something else, and people would have been a lot calmer.
I guarantee. Over 90% of the people who reacted poorly to it hadn't even seen Todd's interview. You know, they're just seen the quote and gone, "Oh, what? This is disastrous." You know, it's completely taken out of context. And but the thing is that what Todd's done, he's got people talking. You know, which is really good. Like, how many owners actually come out and sort of talk the way he is? I think it's really refreshing to see.
Apparently, Serie A, the president over there is like, that's interesting. You know, Serie A All-Star games. Like, they're actually thinking now.
But football's like this, right? Where people are afraid of change, and they probably reacted like this with VAR. Not saying that VAR has been brilliant anyway, but they probably had the same reaction. It was like, we're going to get technology to try and make the decisions better. Probably there was outrage then. Like, what do you mean? This is not Tesco checkouts. We're not going to start automating things. You know, we're going to continue to keep letting human errors take place and keep the game how the game is. And the game evolves. You know, the football's certainly evolving. You know, there's no Ronaldinho's or Zidane's. So you know what I mean. You have to evolve and you have to adapt. But yeah, I don't think it was the worst suggestion in the world at all. I think it was quite an interesting conversation. And yeah, I think right now Chelsea got a lot of main character syndrome. We're literally always in the headlines, whether it be because of this North versus South thing, whether it be the ownership change, the manager change. I'm waiting for the year where Chelsea actually just don't have any sort of big news around them and they just go under the radar and just have a normal
never gonna
year.
happen.
It's never gonna happen, is it? It's not even every year. This is like every few months we have something headline, you know, worthy around our club. It's quite intriguing.
And I think other clubs' fans hate that as well, that we're always sort of talked about, you know.
Yeah, sure. I love it. I think it's hilarious. I mean, it gives us plenty to talk about. But yeah, it is crazy. But yeah, I mean, Miz, what did you make of the interview as well? Are you a lot calmer now on the Tuchel? It kind of, for you, gives you the closure maybe needed for a lot of fans as well on the Tuchel situation, because obviously the statement was a little bit cold, wasn't it, from the Chelsea website?
I mean, I don't know what people expected from the Chelsea website, like to really open the heart out and be very transparent. When was the last time a manager got sacked and a club really came out and said, you know what, these are the reasons? No, it's always, thank you for your time, thank you for all the achievements, and we part our ways now. You're never going to get a club that's going to open up and just give, like, it's never going to be like that. So I never expected that anyway. Mm-hmm. But I also didn't expect Todd Bowley to be public like that, and I'm very happy that he was public like that. And it definitely did give me closure. Whether still some of the people are still being skeptical, thinking that's just the one side of the story, we don't know the Tuchel side of the story, it doesn't really matter. Bottom line, from Todd Bowley's point of view, and I felt it was genuine from the heart, like the way when he was talking in the interview, he literally said that he wanted a manager that was a little bit more hands-on initially. He kept on saying collaboration, close collaboration, sharing of data. The vision wasn't the same. Tuchel was far more interested on just the team, which is absolutely fine as well. In fact, as a manager, you should be focused just on your team. I think Tuchel probably failed to understand the magnitude of the job that the new owners have and how much help they actually needed. And I guess the new owners, it didn't also help the fact that, they let go of Peter Cech and Marina. And this is why I thought maybe Peter Cech and Marina might stick around for this window and then eventually phase out. But maybe the new owners came in and said, look, we don't want anything to do with the old regime. And we'll go with Thomas Tuchel. Thomas Tuchel's well loved in the fan base. He's done well. He's achieved a lot of things. We'll see what we can do with him. See if he can, collaborate, as that's the words going around, and he wasn't up for it. Thomas Tuchel wasn't up for it. So as a new owner, think about it. If we were owners of a particular entity, and the manager that we have doesn't seem to get along with us, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna have to get my guy that's gonna, that's gonna understand what my vision is, and yeah, move on from it. I loved what Bowley said as well. The multi-dimensional sort of club plan that he has, having these feeder sort of clubs. He's looking at buying a club in Portugal now, which will potentially become a feeder club for Chelsea. I love that idea because Salzburg and Leipzig, they work in that sort of in tandem. Man City have a club in Australia. Neil should know. Melbourne City is owned by Man City as well. I think they also have in New York. New York City is under.
They do.
Under
where Vieira was coaching.
Vieira was manager there.
Yeah,
exactly. And they've got many other clubs actually all around. And why not? Why not? And I love the fact that Bowley said we want to be able to send our players on loan to teams that actually care. We can't be loaning our players to teams that have no impetus to develop them. Like Levi Colwell, for example, he's in Brighton. I'm sure he'll probably get game time, but Brighton don't have any obligation to develop him.
Yeah.
Look at Gilmore at Norwich, right?
Exactly. How brilliant would it be if we had a team in Portugal, let's say, plays in the Portuguese league, and you send our academy player and you demand that they start?
Well, you own the place, so he would be playing.
Exactly. So I think that's the perfect case scenario, man.
Yeah, no, I like that idea as well, and I think it's obviously the way to bypass any loan army that we can no longer have because of the FIFA rules. They're not allowing you to have too many players out on loan in the same season. So that's the way of bypassing it, isn't it? Buying up clubs and the speed of which everything is taking place. As much as I appreciate as well the transparency, the communication, the speed of everything that's taking place, literally immediately after the window's over. There's no holidays, there's no breaks. Immediately trying to get a director of football in, immediately trying to get a recruitment staff in, and it seems like there's going to be quite a big department that's built up. And yeah, it's really, really promising. And I think I can't complain at all with the way it's gone. And I think when I mentioned before about being appreciative, and I think Chelsea fans have got to be quite thankful for who we have at the moment and who we could have had. I remember the bidding process and the names that were drafted and the way that they were carrying themselves, or the quotes that were found on them, and the social media antics from Catalina and Nick Candy and all these other names that were kind of trying to get involved in buying the club. And I can't say with confidence that those people would have been anywhere near this level. I think really Rain Group did a great job. They clearly did their due diligence on who they were bringing in, and made sure that they got someone with that experience, in not only in sports, but also a good experience, not just experience, but actually experience in winning and trying to take, a team to another level. So, and also this narrative that's being created around Todd Boehly as well, not just from this North versus South thing, but also that he doesn't know what he's doing. New American owner, doesn't know the game. 4-4-3. First of all, 4-4-3.
That was nonsense, actually. I heard that was rubbish.
Even if it wasn't nonsense, the goalkeeper's included. So I have no problem with
it. Yeah. But yeah, I can't imagine he's ever drawn up and told Tuchel what team to play. I mean, I don't think anyone would be that foolish coming in as a new owner. Do you know what I mean? Maybe Roman, when he bought the club, in 2002, 2003 or something. You got that kind of sense where he just wanted to buy all his favorite players and put them in a team. But I don't think Todd would be that silly to do.
It's the first time for me that someone's actually shown some respect to the goalkeepers. I have no problem with it. I really don't. And, but even still, it's like the narrative of him not knowing what he's doing, and it's just a new narrative that is needed to be created for Chelsea. Surely, isn't it? Is that now with Chelsea actually trying to do things in a more logical, planned out way, surely this guy has to take more hits in another way and doesn't know what he's doing, just completely ruining the game. So there's always got to be a narrative, it seems, on Chelsea owners. But I think he's had a great start and clearly has a plan. And it's weird that people talk about Chelsea's decline so sharply now when, like I said, in the last parts of the Roman era, we weren't exactly winning Premier League titles or getting to Champions League semi-finals on a regular basis. I keep saying it, but before the Champions League win, the last time we were in the semi-final was Atletico Madrid, Diego Costa times with Mourinho when they knocked us out. He was in an Atletico kit and now he's in a Wolves kit. So it's a lot of time has passed. That's a good 9 years. So I think, yeah, people's perception of Chelsea winning constantly, I think, yeah, we do win for sure. But, over the last few years of that Roman era, 5-6 years, we weren't dominating at all. Not been in a title race since Conte. So there's definitely things to improve. Yeah, we literally became a cup team, right? Exactly. So there's a lot to improve.
You probably want, right?
Yeah.
To win individual tactical matches with cups. But I think in the league, you have to have something mega sustainable and, a certain way of playing.
Yeah. And to just keep doing these knee-jerk reactions and trying to chase Premier League titles with these quick, instant hit signings that are not really even instant hits, but were meant to be in Lukaku and this probably time Aubameyang, it's not working. Not getting any closer. So we have to change
how long Klopp and Pep have been at City and Liverpool. Those knee-jerk reactions to getting a fresh manager in to win the league is just not going to happen while they're there.
Exactly.
It's not going to happen. They've been there too long. You need sustained. You need a manager there for a long period of time to get his team playing the way he wants to play before we can challenge those two for sure.
100%. So, yeah, I'm happy with the situation. I think there's a big break now, and we'll see what happens in October. There's a lot of fixtures before we wrap up. There's October is bedlam for content creators. I don't know if you've seen the schedule. We will not see our families.
Yeah, I heard it's mad. I heard it's mad.
Palace away on the 1st of October, then AC Milan on the 5th, Wolves on the 8th, Milan again on the 11th, Villa on the 16th, Brentford on the 19th, Man United on the 22nd, Salzburg on the 25th and 29th, Brighton away. So 9 games, or 10 games, sorry.
Wow, that's not normal. That's not normal at all.
Yeah, because we missed 2, right? We
yeah.
And then the World Cup, it's going to be tough on all the squads. Injuries are going to play a massive part, you think?
Yeah.
Coming up this period up to the World Cup, like, goodness me, I mean, I guess on paper, those games are all, the ones especially in between the Milan games are all, winnable.
Diego Costa at the bridge. Say it ain't so.
Yeah. I haven't seen him play. Last time I seen him play was for Atletico, and he didn't look anywhere near the same kind of player. I have the same kind of hunger and desire to still be like one of the elite players in the sport. So we'll have to see what happens. Though he may, have a good sort of like few months with Wolves.
Yeah,
but,
all the games are crucial. Is that though for sure? Is especially in the Champions League now, the position we're in, we have to win our games, and we kind of have to go to Milan on the 11th, thinking that we're coming here to win.
Is that which is our last game in the group?
So Dinamo Zagreb at home is the last game.
Right. Okay. Oh, so we play Milan
twice in a row. Yep. Double.
Okay.
Yeah. So puts ourselves under a lot of pressure. It would be very disappointing to be hearing the Europa League theme tune after being put in this group, which we felt was definitely a group that we definitely qualify from, and we still can. So, yeah, hopefully we manage to turn it around, because I didn't foresee Europa League this season at any stage. So yeah, but Miz, I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure, bro. Let them know where to find you, as always.
Yeah, as always, really, really fun doing this all-you-can-eat Chelsea with a bit of spin. Last time it was the Brighton fan. Forgot his name. Ben.
Ben the Brighton fan.
And this time around, we've got Neil, my countryman. It's good to have him. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you can find me on the other side of the coin. And obviously, the international breaks around the corner. We'll cover a few Premier League games during this weekend, definitely. And of course, the Chelsea news blitz will continue on. And we'll see. Maybe we'll cover some international games over the international period to see how some of our players are doing. So, yeah.
Well, there you go. Guys, make sure you subscribe. Link is in the description as always. Neil, our special guest. Pleasure, bro. First time on the channel, and obviously we've done many byline episodes together. Let them know where to find you. The world champion.
On Twitter, NR147. Yeah, you'll see all my sort of reasonably balanced Chelsea views on there. Sometimes caught up with a few fans as well. So it's all good fun and good banter. I'm not one of these people who are kind of like well known on Twitter who kind of just sort of say reserved things and safe things. I do get involved in heated discussions on there with rival fans, so it's all a good laugh.
Love that. Well, guys, make sure you check out. Link will be in the description. For me, obviously, just smash up the likes. We'll be back tomorrow with London Clubs Carnage as well. I think that probably will have to be live because of the congestion with the Europa League fixtures for some of those guys and the Premier League on Saturday. So you'll get another live, I'm sure, there. So yeah, stay tuned for the content. We're going to be going through it daily on here for the international break. And also on Twitch as well. The concurrent continues to rise whenever we concede goals. I'm not sure where you guys are coming from, you rivals, but yeah, it's quite the entertainment. So yeah, big up your damn selves. In a bit, people. Peace.